If you are watching this video, that means this result in real life on Sunday, either today or yesterday, happened, and now Arsenal have essentially fully bottled the title here in the Premier League. At once 9 points clear now with that win. If Man City are to win the game, this is all dependent. The only reason you'll see this video is if Manchester City win against Arsenal for me tomorrow, but obviously for y'all either a couple hours ago or yesterday. And so they have a 3 point gap between Arsenal and Man City. However, Man City still have that game in hand against Crystal Palace. They're waiting on them whether to see whether that game can get rescheduled within Crystal Palace's Conference League run, as well as also Man City's FA Cup run. Because if Man City get into the FA Cup final, then they can't play April 16th because that's the FA Cup final, and they already have a Premier League game that weekend that's probably going to be moved to midweek before that. So you can't put Crystal Palace game in that midweek because that's probably where the Premier League game that is there, if they are in the final, will be moved. You could do it the week in between the last week of the season because nothing is happening there, and that's more than likely what's going to happen if Man City get to the final and Crystal Palace get to the final of the Conference League here. But here's how things sit. We have 5 games left to go. Arsenal are still in the Champions League. I tried for 2 hours to try and get it to be the actual Champions League semifinal. I simply just couldn't. So it is Arsenal versus Bayern Munich in the Champions League semifinal, and Atletico Madrid versus PSG, which in all honesty is probably going to lead to a better final if PSG get through and Bayern Munich get through, in which they're calling that the actual final there. So what we're going to do here today is try and win the Premier League, try and hang on to that Premier League title. If we can't do so, then we are going to next season. We're going to next season anyway, to where we try to win everything, and we're going to be a lot more ruthless with this squad here. Some of these players are simply not going to be here this season. Some of the players in that starting lineup are not going to be here that season. Some players might want to leave if they get no trophies this season, Saliba. And some players might have only spent 1 season here and could be on their way out of the club here. So we're just going to go week by week here. You can see Man City actually played their game in hand. This game against Newcastle United, in real totality, it's not that easy, and there it is. It's a draw there. That's very realistic. We only beat Newcastle United early in the season with the Gabriel late-minute corner, last-second corner in extra time, and so there is that. No, I don't personally care if we win the Champions League. I think this. Oh my God, we absolutely demolished Bayern Munich 4-1 in the Champions League semifinal. We might be on our way to Budapest here in a Champions League final already. See, this is going to be so annoying because we are going to constantly be 1 game ahead, but we're 1 game ahead of them with a 1-point gap. That is not good enough. We need to start stringing results together, and Saka and Trossard get on a score sheet and go ahead and get 3 points there for the Arsenal. We just need Man City to lose, and to be honest, I don't see that happening. Man City have probably one of the easier schedules coming in after our game. We actually have a decent schedule. We have obviously we have Newcastle straight after Man City, which is going to be insane. We still have to play Crystal Palace, which they have to play Crystal Palace as way. Our Crystal Palace game is at home, I'm pretty sure. I don't know why there is away here, but I'm pretty sure our game against Crystal Palace at the end of the season is a home game. I'm like 99% sure it is. Matches, no, okay, never mind. So it is an away game. All right, well, we are into a Champions League final, so this could be the shortest rebuild ever. But the reason this rebuild comes out is if we blow the Premier League title. So we kind of got to hopefully actually blow the Premier League title here. But it's looking like, oh, yeah, never mind. It's looking like we will. Tied on points there. You can see there, Man City 76, Arsenal 74 with tied on points. West Ham, they're fighting for survival, so that's not going to be a hard or easy game. Trossard scoring the 87th minute there. A late winner again for the Arsenal. And we go back top of the Premier League table with the game in hand, so Man City could go right back to it and be top of that Premier League table. Have they played that game? No, they have not played that game. That game is against Crystal Palace. I did go ahead. They actually had it rescheduled on here for May 30th. They actually had it rescheduled where the Champions League final was. I went ahead and just didn't do that. So I just didn't do that, and I put it the week in between the final game of the season. And so here we go. It's Arsenal versus Burnley, and Arsenal win 3-1. Saka Yekadesh, a 3-1 win for the Arsenal. I'm pretty sure that's where Man City did not play because they had the FA Cup final, and yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. So they're going to have to play 2 midweek games in between. Actually, wait, what does that make sense though for? And so I looked at the schedule for Man City with the live editor. They played on the 16th, they played on the 18th, they played on the 21st, and now they play on the 24th here for the Premier League title. It's Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. It's Man City versus Aston Villa. So it's not an easy game for them at all on the final game today. That's their hardest game after us is against Aston Villa here. It doesn't mean anything if we don't win here, which we do win 2-1. Did Arsenal win the Premier League? No, they did not. Manchester City win on the final game day 3-2 there, and Arsenal have bottled the Premier League title. That just is how close it can be. Again, to be completely honest, if Arsenal go ahead and win that game against Newcastle, they are on 85 points, but again, goal difference is then coming into part there. So goal difference definitely hurts Arsenal. Arsenal could get into the Champions League final here. They could win the Champions League final here in real life. It could be something that does happen. I do actually have them going to the Champions League final. I think we take care of business against Atletico Madrid with ease, absolute ease. We're just going to quick sim the final here. We're going to worry about trying to get to the final next season here. So Champions League final, and as expected, PSG do win it. I do have Arsenal get to the final, but to be honest, I have it as PSG, Arsenal, and I have it as PSG versus Inter Milan last season, where Inter Milan just absolutely got laid over and pummeled 5-0. 22 goals for Yeka this season, 12 for Saka on an injury season, 11 for Eze, 11 for Martinelli, 10 for Trossard. Let's get into this next season where we are going to be absolutely ruthless with this squad. Some of these players are not going to be here come first match day week. I said I wanted to come into the season being absolutely cutthroat, and so cutthroat we are. Here are some of the players that we have transfer listed that I would actually see Arsenal wanting to sell. There's a couple that I think Arsenal shouldn't sell. Well, there's actually a couple that I actually haven't transfer listed because I think it's ludicrous that we're even putting up in the idea that we are going to sell Kepa. I want him out of the club simply for the fact that that Carabao Cup final performance was absolutely abysmal. His Southampton performance in the FA Cup was absolutely abysmal. He's not a good keeper. He only played because he played through the cups, and well, that's on Arteta. Trossard, he is good in moments. He has his moments where he's a good player, and then he also has his more than often moments where he is dreadful and makes us want to rip our head out as Arsenal fans. So he is transfer listed. It's rumored to believe that Norgard is going to want to go to a different club here and possibly go home to Denmark in the summer here. And he's honestly not getting much game time, even though he definitely could be, because the kind of recent performances he had when he came on have been pretty rock solid. Martin Odegaard, injuries and the fact that he is a center mid / cam and he goes backwards. I see him more in a CDM role, more in a center back role than I see him attacking the field. And if he is attacking the field, he's passing it sideways or sideways or sideways or just a Saka sideways. So I want him out the club as well. Gabriel Jesus, we just have to offload him. Realistically, if it really mattered like FM, his wages is a big contribution to that, and it's insane. So we transfer listed him. Reece Nelson, I think, is going to want to leave come the summertime when he's back from his loan. Ben White, terrorist right back, an absolute terrorist right back. Kai Havertz, I'm not really forcing him out of the club. However, if I am to bring in a rumored striker to be joining Arsenal, Kai Havertz is going to have to make way. Zubimendi, I could see him getting pushed out the club. I really could. Not really had the greatest performances. I don't know if something's happening because with him in his personal life because of everybody condoling him on the field when we lost to Bournemouth last week in real life. Everybody was surrounding him, and then everybody was hyping him up when he won man of the match against Sporting in that second leg Champions League game. I'm not quite sure what's happening with him, but to be honest, he hasn't been the greatest. He hasn't been the worst, but he hasn't been what he should be, what we bought him for. So he has been transfer listed. That's probably the one that could leave realistically after only a year at the club. Carl Hein, I mean, I could keep him, to be completely honest, to have him as a backup option. And I think I could. That way I don't have to spend any money. So I think we'll redo that. Martinelli, I could see him leaving the club. And especially if rumored left wingers are to be joining the club. Hopefully not Anthony Gordon. Hopefully that has fallen apart. But other left wingers that could possibly open up and be joining the club there. Fabio Vieira, I just think he's going to stay wherever he is at in loan. So we have transfer listed him there to get rid of him. Mosquera, I was looking at Arsenal transfer rumors on Transfer Market and Transfer Feed and stuff like that, and there's been a bunch of rumors about him leaving the club, so we transfer listed him, but we're more likely going to also maybe just loan him. I think Kivior is going to want to stay at Porto, and I think Porto actually want him. I think there's an obligation to buy there as well. So I think Kivior is going to go to Porto. Lewis Skelly is one of the players that they have transfer listed, or Arteta has spoken about, or kind of hinted that he might be open to selling or looking to push off in the summer, which I guess for profitability margins, it's great for that regard, because we're going to get at least 30 to 40 million for him based off of English tax, and we could get up to 50 to 60 with him based off English tax as well in his value. I don't see why we're selling him, but he hasn't been the greatest in all honesty. He hasn't really been good. He's kind of fallen off the wagon slightly. And then Ethan Nwaneri is rumored to possibly be leaving the club as well in the summer. Now, this one is absolutely dumbfounding. If we sell Ethan Nwaneri, this is probably one of the biggest, stupidest things we've done in a real long time, and we've done some stupid things. I don't have it in me to actually sell him because I think he is next up. I think he is something spectacular alongside Max Dowman, and maybe that's why we're selling him, because we think him and Max Dowman are playing the same position, and we can't play them either else, and well, they must believe in Max Dowman more. But on the game, we don't have Max Dowman, so there is that. So, yeah, there's that. We have a couple of options here on the transfer list here, and we're going to see what happens, and we're going to be absolutely ruthless. We have 100 million, 306 million to spend. 306 million to spend to improve on this team. First sale is Gabriel Martinelli leaving to Liverpool for just under 30 million. We say goodbye to him. Services are no longer needed at the club. And the winger, I would love to see Arsenal bring in the summer window if we can afford it, which I don't think the club can. I think the club's tight funds this summer is going to be based off of who we sell in this summer window. But Kvaratskhelia, I want him in the team. He is my dream left winger. There's actually recent reports after just literally yesterday on Friday that apparently Vinicius Jr.'s agents are looking for moves for him to leave Real Madrid and that nobody wants him. I don't want him as a player. In terms of a player, he's good. His attitude at the club is just something we don't need at Arsenal. So Kvaratskhelia, I was kind of mad when we didn't come in for him before he went to PSG. I was hoping we did, but we didn't, and we went for Martinelli and Trossard. So Kvaratskhelia, welcome into the squad. Welcome to the Arsenal. You're our new left winger. And there it is, Miles Lewis Skelly leaving the club. I believe he's going to Athletic Club in this for just around 22 million mark and 21.87, just a random number there to be leaving, but he is leaving for 21 million. Say goodbye to him. Ethan Nwaneri, this is just a loan deal. He's off to Leverkusen for 2 years. And just give him another loan deal if you want to sell him. Just let him go out on loan. Fabio Vieira is off to Burnley for 16.5 million off to the Championship. And the clean out continues. Benjamin White off to Celta Vigo. We say goodbye to him. The absolute terrorist is out my club. We also say goodbye to Kepa. He's off to Augsburg for 10 million flat. Jacob Kivior off to Newcastle for 32.2 million. I told you this clear out is going to be ruthless. These players out my club. An all-English midfield duo is what I'm looking for here between Declan Rice and Nottingham Forest's player Elliot Anderson. Rumors are, there's been multiple rumors within this season, last season, that Elliot Anderson would join Arsenal, and now we make that a realistic thing there. Elliot Anderson is probably having one of his toughest weeks in his life, just losing his mom on Thursday, the game before the same day before their game against FC Porto, in which they scored, held up a shirt to him. Rest in peace to Elliot's mom. It's such a sad young age to lose your mom. I lost my mom when I was even younger than Elliot Anderson. All these things. But now he is here at Arsenal. He gets a big summer move in Arsenal from Nottingham Forest. who's fighting relegation, and they might win the Europa League. They're deep in the Europa League, which is absurd. Welcome in, though, to the squad. And then Tino Livramento from Newcastle United is going to come in to join Jurrien Timber to be part of our right back. He will fight for Jurrien Timber for that starting right back over the course of the season. Welcome in for just under 30 million, and just under 40 million, I should say 37 million. Welcome into the squad. Ousmane Diomande is going to come in from Sporting. In real life, he actually performed very good against us across the 180 minutes. And the only goal that got past him was a last-minute winner in that first leg. And so Diomande, I mean, he's been one I've been eyeing up personally. I've been enjoying watching and thinking that Arsenal should sign him, and maybe that big club will come in for him sooner rather than later. I think summer that finally does happen, and hopefully it's Arsenal. Ousmane Diomande, welcome into Arsenal. Welcome into part of our backfield. And here is a signing that will throw things up into spanners if it were to happen in real life. Many rumors starting really last season. It was honestly what we thought it was going to be between him and Gyökeres, and well, Gyökeres won that battle, and we thought this storyline was going to be over, but this storyline just keeps on intensifying and intensifying. Julian Alvarez, key part of Atletico Madrid's success this season. Reports are if he does leave the club in the summer, Arsenal or Barcelona are his next stops. And it kind of sways in between Arsenal. It swayed heavily for Barcelona for a while, especially in January. And now it's kind of swaying back towards Arsenal just a little bit more. So I'm not quite sure what's going on in his mind, in his agent's mind, and Arsenal's mind, whether or not they want him, seeing as we just bought in Victor Gyökeres. But we bring him in. We swap out Gabriel Jesus plus 109 million. Welcome into the squad. We say goodbye to Reece Nelson for 7.6 million. We say goodbye to him. We go ahead and bring in youngster Keith Smith for 8.6 million plus Norgard to provide some depth and some youngster in our team. We say goodbye to Kai Havertz. He is off to Aston Villa on this save. Goodbye to him for 47.8 million. We do need to bring in a backup striker now, though. Something we do need to do. And the young man that has been tearing it up for Bournemouth as of lately, Kruppi Jr. is going to come into Arsenal to be a backup striker to Julian Alvarez and Victor Gyökeres. Welcome into the squad. In just literally a fresh report 10 minutes ago that Johan Manzimbi is rumored to possibly join Arsenal, and they're going to rival Man City for the fight of him, and Real Madrid for the fight of him, but he's going to join here Arsenal in this save. Welcome in. And at the moment, this is your squad. David Raya, Jurrien Timber, Gabriel Saliba, Calafiori, Rice, Anderson, Saka, Gyökeres, Julian Alvarez, and Kvaratskhelia. That is your front line. Let's see how these boys can do. And so, over halfway through the first season here, or the second season here, we are on February 1st. We sit second in the Premier League. We are 1 point behind league leaders Chelsea. 1 point behind them. Look how tight it is, though. Newcastle's only 7 points off there. Man City's only 3 points behind us. We are in the Carabao Cup semifinal where we are taking on Manchester United, which is down 2-1 on aggregate there. We could get the repeat of the other final there last season. We are also in the FA Cup, which I'm actually thinking we are placing on. Yep, we are placing on against Manchester City. And then some bad news is that we are in the Champions League playoff. We finished 19th in the Champions League. 3 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. We are in the Champions League playoff where we are taking on Marseille, but teams like Man United, Man City are through, AC Milan are through, Barcelona are through as well. So we actually have a very busy month here in February, so let's just go by it game by game. Second leg here against our Manchester United. Did we lose 2-1 on the day? We did. A 4-2 win. 4-2 win for Man United. FA Cup here against Manchester City, and can we get past them? Yes, we do. Arsenal 3-2 win there, and now the big boy. It's the Champions League here against Marseille, a 2-2 draw in the first one. Don't tell me we're out of the Champions League in the first round in the playoffs. Second leg here against Marseille in France. We got man of the match, a 2-0. Is that a 2-0 win on the day? Yes, 2-2. A 2-0 win. We move on to the next round in the proper round of 16 in the Champions League. And we go ahead and get Aston Villa in the Champions League. In fact, our next week and a half is all Aston Villa. We also have them in the Premier League there. Some matchups here in the round 16. Real Madrid versus Lyon. PSG versus Man United. Barcelona, Dortmund, Leipzig, Salzburg. So two Red Bulls facing off against each other. We're taking on Villa, Bayern City, Juventus, Madrid, Atletico Madrid, and then Leverkusen versus AC Milan here. Obviously, the main priority is the Premier League, so we're going to skip past them. Arsenal versus Aston Villa. First leg here. David Raya gets man of the match in a narrow 1-0 win. We take on Aston Villa once again in the Premier League. Hopefully, we can win there, but a 2-2 draw might actually hinder our champions Premier League hopes now as well. Second leg here, a 4-1 win on the day, and we win 5-1. I hate that it shows aggregate score sometimes because I trying to guess how we are doing in the Premier League. It's us, Chelsea, and even Man City, and even Liverpool. We're all up there, and then Newcastle is not too far away, but it's all up there in the air for us in that Premier League race. Do we take on Chelsea again? Surely we do. We are still in the FA Cup. We are taking on Crystal Palace in the FA Cup there. We still have to take on City. We still have to take on Chelsea. So two massive games there that could determine the title as well. Let's figure out who we have in the next round of the Champions League, though. And we move past Crystal Palace in the cup final, and we have Manchester City in the Champions League quarterfinals. Look at some of these insane matches. Look at our schedule. Man City, North London Derby, Man City, and then Wembley FA Cup semifinal against Bournemouth here. The other quarterfinals are Dortmund, Leipzig, AC Milan versus Atletico Madrid. We're taking on Man City, and then Real Madrid versus PSG. And you know what? Just to shift things up here, we are going to go ahead and simulate through it here on the screen to figure out who scores goals in these ties as we win 3-1 on the first day. Julian Alvarez, Anderson, Yekeres, and Holland all on the score sheet. Now, we are tied on points with Chelsea. However, they have a game in hand, unfortunately. So that is not good signs for us in terms of wanting to win the Premier League. North London Derby here at the Tottenham Stadium. A 4-2 win. That could have even been 5 if Yekeres could finish there. Calafiori, Julian Alvarez, Saka, and Yekeres all on the score sheet. A 4-2 thrashing of Tottenham. We love to see that. Second leg here against Manchester City, a 1-0 loss on the day, but a 3-2 win on aggregate. We are into the semifinals of the Champions League for what would be the third season in a row. And here comes the big one of the big ones. Obviously, we have Man City, and then we have Chelsea. Manchester City could stop us from winning the Premier League title once again, but no, they will not. Arsenal win 2-1 on the day. Yekeres and Jurgen Timber on the score sheet. Jeremy Doku got a consolation goal in the end in the 72nd minute, and we will take a 2-1 win. FA Cup semifinal against Bournemouth, and Bournemouth win it, so we will not reach the FA Cup semifinal. It is what it is at the end of the day. Leipzig versus Atletico Madrid in one semifinal, and we are taking on Real Madrid in the other semifinals here of the Champions League here. And it's the first leg up first here at the Emirates Stadium here. A 1-0 win, which Yekeres was the only one to put the ball into the back of the net. Jude Bellingham missing a penalty in the 4th minute, but we take the 1-0 advantage going to Spain. And then as far as the Premier League goes, we are tied on points with Chelsea here, with them being ahead just by 2 goals. Second leg here against Real Madrid, a 2-2 draw. Julian Alvarez stunts Real Madrid going through with that 78th minute goal, which was quickly equaled out by Mbappe in the 79th, but they could not score again to push it to a draw. And we are into the Champions League final for back-to-back seasons. And so this is a game that will more than likely determine that Premier League title. Both level on points here. They're ahead of us by goal difference. Ignore Liverpool. They're only in first because they have a game in hand. A winner here for Arsenal or Chelsea will separate through them with the last 3 games of the season. And you can only assume that they would win out from there. And so a big game here. Can Arsenal win it? Yes, they do. Kvaratskhelia in the 81st minute. A 1-0 win for the Gunners. Are they finally going to win the Premier League for the first time since 2004? And so here, Arsenal versus Fulham. We'll just stick it out for these last 3 games here. A 2-0 win. Kvaratskhelia is pushing Arsenal over the line. Arsenal versus Everton. It took 2 last-minute goals to get them over the edge against Everton this season. IRL, Gyökeres, Kvaratskhelia, and Gyökeres willing Arsenal over the line here with 1 game left to go. We're going to watch throughout this game here, the final game of the Premier League season. We'll jump in to see if they can close things out here. I believe it's Liverpool can only catch us now. I think Chelsea are too far down, and Liverpool need a win, and we need to lose, and I think they need to win quite heavily. So I think it's all in the hands for us that we will lift the Premier League title here at Nottingham Forest's ground. And Elliot Anderson against his former club might have just taken the lead 1-0. And Julian Alvarez makes it 2-0. Arsenal, for the first time since 2004, will win the Premier League. And that is the Premier League done. Arsenal are your champions of England for the first time since the 2003-04 season when they went invincible. Let's lift that Premier League trophy for once and final time. Bukayo Saka gets to lift that league trophy. Arsenal are your Premier League champions. We still have the Champions League to go to, though, as well. Let's go. And there we go. The Champions League glory is what we are after as well. And now this could be a preview of this year's semifinals against Atletico Madrid, where it's currently the Atletico Madrid tie in the semifinal. Obviously, that's a 2-leg affair. However, we now go to the München Stadium here in Germany to try and make it a Champions League trophy as well and make it a double. Let's see what happens here. The Champions League final, Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid. Alex Baena, Koke, Alex Baena, and Alex Baena down the left-hand side. Alex Baena, cross comes in. Saliba deals with it. There is no Gabriel. He's out injured. Calafiori's also as well. So Livramento at left back. Mosquera, no, not Mosquera. Diamande is in at center back. Gyökeres for Saka now. And Saka loses the ball. Gyökeres. Alvarez, Saka now, Bukayo Saka to take the lead for the Arsenal, and Bukayo Saka, the star boy, gives Arsenal the lead here, 1-0 in the 22nd minute. Molina, Diaby, Barrios, Diaby, Atletico Madrid playing with the ball, trying to get some type of passing way going. Can't get it yet. Pablo Diaz, he went for the Trivela, and that's off target. I wasn't even looking for a second. Victor Gyökeres makes it 2-0 for the Arsenal. We double the lead over Atletico Madrid, and we will look to win the Champions League. Well, that's the replay shot. Teammates around him. Atletico Madrid, but the couple passes just not going their way, and now Arsenal could look to really put the cherry on top here. Livramento into Kvara into Declan over the top for Alvarez, and Julian Alvarez now on the ball, and Julian Alvarez into Declan Rice. Now Livramento stopped by Diaby. Gyökeres maybe looking to possibly make it 3. Saka's in behind. Bukayo Saka saved by All Black on foot to the post and into the back of the corner. Almost said back of net, but into the back for the corner. Declan Rice. Saliba. All Black saves. Coke keeps it in play. Victor Gyökeres gets it back, but straight to Jan Oblak. But that is game over. Arsenal are your Champions League winners. A 2-0 win. And Saka will lift that Champions League trophy, something they have never done in their club's history. The closest was back in 2006 when they got robbed by Barcelona and the referees in that Champions League final. Arsenal, your Champions League winners. Remember, you are only seeing this if Arsenal lose to Manchester City tomorrow in real life. But for y'all, whether it was a couple hours ago or yesterday, if Arsenal win, actually, y'all see this if Arsenal draw that game in all honesty, because I still think they'll bottle if they do draw. I think they'll bottle it even if they win. I just think we're bottling it here. It is the end of the video, though. A masterclass there. Only one season from not winning the Premier League this time to now doing it there. And to then, I'll see y'all for another rebuild. Peace out.